My name is Deirdre Flood, and as a volunteer myself, I would like to guide you through this video to show you how our club operates.
Volunteers in our club work closely with our athletes, and in this section you will learn how our volunteers contribute their time during a club training session.
It was drawn out of a concern that I had that through my own experience as a volunteer in Special Olympics since 2006, that I saw a lot of people really, I think, when they think of volunteering, they think of the role of the coach. And I wanted to show people that there were so many ways that they contribute their time and their experience. And as a result, in that regard, that's actually, what I wanted to draw into it.
I usually produce a printed copy of the session plan and review it with the volunteers and coaches for 5 minutes just before the start of each club training session.
The target audience initially actually was a larger group of people who would have been trying to entice volunteers in, but it was narrowed down through my research really to registered volunteers with Special Olympics. And the reason for that was because it can take up to 4 months for a person to become a registered volunteer. So I targeted the work, the videos, to be loaded onto the Special Olympics Ireland Moodle learning management system, and in particular their induction module, so that it would actually give people who had signed up a more, a flavour as to basically what the club level activities were all about. So what I did was the first action research cycle was to create a commemorative DVD of the Special Olympics Ireland Games in Limerick. So through that process, I came to realise that video was actually an excellent way to communicate and to resonate with volunteers. So from there, I undertook a second action research cycle. And that basically involved meeting with Special Olympics Ireland, the training manager there, Anne Hughes, and also the chairperson of our local club. It moved on from there. Then we met. I storyboarded the project. Basically, I had to actually meet up with the groups at every single event and every single club event to try and capture the reality of what people were actually doing. It was very time consuming and very elongated, because we only had maybe an hour at a time, capturing an event, and then we had to wait for another week and do another little piece.
One particular year, the club members trained for 6 sessions to learn the Michael Jackson Thriller dance to perform at their party. The athletes chose this dance themselves as something that they wanted to learn.
The camera I used was it was really a prosumer camera. It was a Canon HFS 20 Legria, and I also at that time I used another Canon camera, an EOS 550D. So between that and I had an Apple Mac Pro. That was the hardware that I used, and the software really was iMovie, Final Cut Express, LiveType, and I also used a product called ScreenFlow. So the video was 21 minutes long. So I broke the video into 6 segments so that it could be incorporated and integrated into the induction module of the learning management system on the Special Olympics website. So it's basically trying to educate volunteers by the provision of an experience that allows them to feel that they've been to the club. So the first 3 videos that I produced were really an introduction to what the club was all about, and the last 3 videos were really trying to show people, to draw people in, to say, well, look, this is, if you came to our club on a club night, this is actually what you'd see, and this is what you'd experience. And so the affordance of video in terms of education, what a fantastic thing it allows you to do is to speed up time. So I recorded everything over a period of 13 months, but now volunteers can actually view it 21 minutes over 6 videos, and they can actually experience everything that happened during that time. So that's one fantastic element, I suppose, educational element of, or importance of the medium of video. But the primary thing that I focused on was provision of experience and basically nurturing confidence throughout the video that you know, that anybody can actually, you know, take on any one of these roles, and that there really is a place, I suppose, for everybody in such an organisation at a club level for the provision of sports training.
Among the duties of our safety officer is to make sure that no emergency exits are blocked and that all members know what to do in the event of a fire.
Well, the cost of the project, I suppose, in terms of people's time, everybody volunteered their time, so there was no cost from that perspective and no cost to Special Olympics at all. The initial outlay for me was really just in terms of like the equipment I just described, and that was, it worked out I think about €4,500, but that was for my course. There were about 70 people in our club, in our local Special Olympics club in Drogheda. We have about 35 volunteers and about 40 athletes, and all of those people were involved in the project. There was only one particular element that we staged. Everything else was recorded as it happened. So, for instance, Special Olympics work to a 4-year cycle for the All-Ireland Games. And so you only have really one chance, you know, to record something like that. And after that, every other week, we would record as we were doing a particular activity. So we may not have bowling, we're a multi-sport club, we may not bowl for maybe 5 weeks, so you'd wait that period of time. So there was nothing, there was only one night that we actually had a film night and that everybody got involved in, and we had to stage particular shots, you know, with everybody waving to the camera and things like that. So that worked out really well. Everybody participated, they were fantastic, but I think that was, for me, was the only difficulty was, you know, trying to capture all the shots that I needed for the storyboard.
Many of our athletes have different interests and enjoy variety, and as a club we try to cater for this. It does mean, however, that we might not be as competitive as other clubs who do single sport, but the social aspect and general fitness is very strong.
It's very intimidating for many people having a camera really stuck in your face for, you know, for such a long period of time, you know, over 13 months. And they really accepted the project that I was doing, and they fully supported and committed to it. So I'm really happy. When I look at the video, I know that that's the reality of the situation. It's not, you know, staged. It's not. So that's what I'm most happy about, because, and I hope, and I think that sense of genuineness comes across. Or I hope it does anyway, to the viewer. And I think that really is what will maybe incentivise somebody to say, right, you know, maybe I could get involved.
In this game, the athletes get to choose their volunteer victims, who line up against the wall, and basically the volunteers have to dodge the softballs being thrown at them from a very enthusiastic group of athletes.
You know, I think probably the most important thing is to have a creative vision using video or multimedia in education. And probably there's so many people out there that have wonderful ideas and do wonderful things, and I've experienced that as a volunteer. And really, I think it's just entering is probably the most important thing, you know, to really just commit it and tell that story, or to show the work that you're actually doing. So I'd say that's probably, you know, if you have a creative vision, you're doing something, just share it.